So I'm imagining you would like your wife to enjoy more sex. I also imagining you'd probably like to help her to experience orgasm more easily. Well, guess what? You're not alone because I have this request all the time. So in this video, I'm going to share with you the 7 strategies that you need to really consider and take seriously if you really want that to happen for you and your partner. Stick around for number 7 because it is one that 99% of people don't even consider, and when they do consider it, they have a really hard time implementing it. But if they can, it is a game changer. So my name is Janelle Fraser, and I am a relationship coach, and I specialize in intimacy and communication. So please give this video as well a thumbs up. I would love if you would give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. This helps more people get this work into their hands, because the reality is so many people are struggling with intimacy, sexuality, relationships, communication, and it's because we don't talk about it. So please help this mission along by subscribing and liking this video. Here's where I gotta start. I know you have the desire because you wouldn't be here watching this video, but are you willing to do what it takes, what's necessary for her to enjoy sex and intimacy? Because I say that because oftentimes I give some suggestions or I give some solutions, but there's resistance because you're gonna have to change how you're doing things. You can't keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Now, to do something different when it comes to sex and intimacy requires us to slow down. It's vulnerable, it's uncomfortable, you're not gonna feel confident, you're gonna feel, out of your territory. And so oftentimes I think there's a desire to have the result, but it's like there's such a resistance to doing what's necessary because it's uncomfortable. So what I will say is that if you and your partner are already having conversations about your relationship and you guys want to just explore a really fun free training together, I will link to my training, More Like Friends Than Lovers, and it's how to avoid the coexisting trap that we fall into, and it really touches on the communication and intimacy in a relationship. So definitely recommend that you check that out. So I'll start with the first one, which you need to consider that orgasms are kind of like tricks that our bodies can do. And so that means it's also not your responsibility. Oftentimes partners have their wife's pleasure tangled up in their self-confidence. So if your partner doesn't enjoy sex or she's not orgasming, you make it mean something about you. Now here's the problem with that. It means nothing about you. It has nothing to do with you. And although you can contribute to her enjoyment and her orgasm, absolutely, a huge part of a woman's ability to enjoy sex and experience orgasm is her ability to voice her needs, her ability to quiet her mind long enough to get into her body, her ability to, play with her own body and understand her body and her parts and, masturbate and actually bring herself to orgasm and having that awareness and understanding. So I want you to, first of all, separate the two, because if you have your self-confidence tangled up into your wife's enjoyment of intimacy, they also feel that. And when your partner feels that, it's kind of like a turnoff. It's like now they feel like they have to do something to make you feel better about yourself. And that is really complicated. So if your partner is open, or if you are a woman who happens to be watching this, or partner, the wife, if you're the wife, and you want to know how to be in the mood more often, how to enjoy intimacy, I will post a link as well to my course, In the Mood. It's a women's experience to learn just that. So the second one is that an orgasm is not everyone's enjoyment measurement. So what? An orgasm is not the end all be all? It's not. For some people it is. So if it is your measurement of enjoyment, well then you are naturally going to think that it is your partner's. But the truth is that there are so many ways that we enjoy pleasure, and what I hear from many women is that because of the pressure to orgasm, it's like their partner is hyper-focused on making that happen, meaning that they miss out on the rest of the experience and that they feel a level of pressure to orgasm. And for some women, orgasming every time, it actually takes away their enjoyment. I am one of those women. Okay, now you can know that it's true because I am one of those women. So these women do exist, and regardless, you and your partner might measure the enjoyment of an intimate experience differently. That's a great conversation to have, because some people, they need that certainty. I have to orgasm or it wasn't pleasurable. For other people, there are other measurements. How connected were we? Just like some people like that sustained long-term pleasure of just like, oh, it feels really good. And I love that feeling of desiring my partner. When I orgasm, that desire is gone. And so I actually like to stay in that like feast, that hunger sort of mode for as long as possible. And sometimes I like to not orgasm because that all disappears, and it's like I actually really enjoy that state. Now, if you're in a long-term relationship, of course, things come and go, and life throws curveballs at you, and to sustain intimacy long-term in a relationship brings its own new challenges. And so I'm going to link a video here where you can actually get some tips on long-term relationship sexuality. See, the third one is that we often go into default mode. So you need to catch yourself if you're going into default mode. What that looks like is that you sort of do the same thing every time, and that you probably have been since the beginning of having sex. We kind of go into default mode, meaning we also turn off our ability to read our partners, to cue in to their pulling back or their shutting down, or the reality that they're not wet, or that their body isn't turned on, or they're not moving their bodies in ways that suggest turn on and desire. And so what happens is that we miss the cues that our partner's giving us. Here's the truth, is oftentimes I believe that we miss the cues because we don't want to see the cues. We don't want to get the uncomfortable answers that what we're doing isn't enjoyable or is a turnoff, or and so you need to be willing to slow down enough in your intimate experiences so that you can actually tune in to what's going on for your partner. That's one reason why you're going to want to subscribe to my channel, because I have videos coming up, and I'm going to continue to make more videos about experimental sex, is what I call it. Because when we go into default mode, it's like, especially in long-term relationships, it's like we're doing the same thing for years on end. No wonder we start to have challenges. And so experimental sex is a really great way to enhance communication and try new things in a really safe and comfortable way for both of you. And so you want to stick around, there's videos coming up about that. So what I will say about this default mode is that slow down in the intimate experience is enough to tune in. If you have a hunch, if you have a sense that she's not enjoying something, or she might want something different, or she's not into it, ask her, how could I make this more pleasurable for you? Do you want me to go faster or slow? Do you want me to, tease you more or rub here more? Or do you want me to lick your pussy? Like, what specifically do you want? And giving her, it's not about having this full dialogue, but it's about giving her things to respond to. So many women struggle to use their voice and ask for what they need and want. I work with those women separately, but for you, a way that you can really support her is to be asking her specific questions, not like open-ended ones like, what do you want? But like, faster or slower. And not like, is this good? Because is this good just gives her the ability to be like, yeah, but faster or slower makes her or harder or softer. It's like those types of things, fingers or no fingers, like it gives her an ability to actually give a preference versus just like going with it. Because a lot of women get into this pattern of not enjoying sex, not experiencing orgasm, but sort of like that's just the reality. They're just doing it to get it done. You don't want that for your partner, which is why you also need to stick around to number 7, because I'm going to get to that. So I also really think it's important to get out of default mode by understanding what turns your partner on. And so what I really want you to check out is the video I did about how I changed my sex life. And you're also going to get a quiz, access to a quiz on there where you can actually determine what turns your partner on, what turns you on, because oftentimes our default mode is in our erotic blueprint, is in the way that we are wired, but we don't necessarily understand how our partner is wired, and how they were wired 10 years ago isn't necessarily how they're wired today. So you want to watch this video on how I changed my sex life from not experiencing orgasms, not wanting it or enjoying it, to it's awesome. So check that out. Now, the fourth is do not penetrate until she is ready, until she is open, until she is wet, until she is asking. Okay, I sometimes in my mind, it's like I almost want to get to that point of like begging for it or asking for it. And I so many partners tell me like, I want my partner to like, you know, want me. I want her to show me that she wants me. Well, what if you actually gave her time to want you? Because if you're too sort of eager, quick to the punch with the penetrations or the insertion of things, it can really shut a woman down, or it can be painful or uncomfortable, and then she's like, okay, just get it over with, so we're just gonna get this done quick. You need to slow down enough to know, is she moving her bodies in ways that suggest she's turned on? Is she wet? On average, 20 to 40 minutes it takes a woman to open up. And so I really want you to look at and think about how you do intimacy and sex. How much time are you spending on foreplay? You know, petting, kissing, rolling around, just being naked together. You know, how much time is before you're trying to stick things in places? So I want you to think of a range of intimacy that you can experience. I'm going to link to my intimacy guide for couples that shows you the scale of intimacy, because your partner might be starting at a 4 or a 5 and you might be at a 9. And so you're like wondering what's going on and like, oh, she's not in the mood or she's not turned on. Well, she's just not where you're at yet. So you need to meet her with where you're at. So you want to grab this guide so you can actually understand this scale and use it as a communication tool in your relationship, so you know, like, what do I give to my partner? What do I do for them that's going to help them to enjoy this? And of course, then become more turned on and then more likely to experience orgasm. I will also link the video where I describe that in detail. So it's why I didn't enjoy sex and why I was never in the mood, and actually understanding that, hey, I was in the mood a lot more than I thought I was. And guess what? Your wife is more in the mood than you think she is. So you've got to watch this video so that you understand this range of intimacy that I'm getting at. Number 5, have you ever played darts? Good. Well, her vagina is not a bullseye. So don't just try to like score there every time. Don't forget about the rest of the board. Don't forget about all the other points you can get when you play the board, okay? Her body is the board. The clitoris or the vaginal opening is the bullseye. Just don't focus on just the bullseye. It's intense. It's they may not be ready or turned on yet, and so it's not pleasurable, and because it's like their body wasn't asking for it yet. But when you can sort of tease and pet and love on and massage and kiss or lick and other places of the body, maybe you go, you know, to the bullseye, but then you also come away. And then you come back and you go away. It like builds that anticipation and that desire and not that like pressure to like orgasm already. Okay, so don't forget about the whole body. Now, I know you may have a wife who is like rushes you along or is like, you know, isn't willing or ready to receive pleasure. And that's your responsibility as her partner to remind her, because so many women tell me like, oh, I feel like I'm like wasting his time, or he doesn't want to do it, or I'm a lot of work, or I'm complicated. It's just the anatomy of women, and of course she needs to accept that, and that's why she should join my In the Mood program, Women's Experience. However, you also can hold this space for her by like slowing down and reminding her that you want to be there, that this is enjoyable for you. Because a lot of women get caught up that their partner's only thing that they enjoy is like when they're penetrating them or when they're orgasming. And so you need to be able to reveal to her and convince her that it's like you enjoy all of this experience. And so that's also going to help her to relax and be able to enjoy that experience, meaning she can get properly turned on before any penetration, maybe even asking and craving for that penetration. Woohoo! Wouldn't that be great? And then of course, much more likely to experience orgasm. Now, number 6 is you need to take some time to understand why she's not enjoying sex or why she's not orgasming, or understanding what gets her in the mood. Lots of the resources that I've already given you are going to really help with that. But I just want you to stop getting it tangled in like it's about you and she doesn't love you or she's not attracted to you. It's just not, okay? So I want you to take the time to understand why is she not in the mood, and stop turning it on to yourself. Understand her. What is it about her life? How can I support her? And lots of the resources that I shared with you already are going to be very helpful. Number 7, are you ready? This is like, if you get this, life is going to change for you. So buckle up. Number 7, you need to stop accepting pity sex. You need to stop rushing to the finish line. So let's talk about pity sex for a minute. Many women are having sex with their partners, and you may feel this from your wife, just to check it off on their to-do list. It's another thing for them to do. Just they do it so that they can put it off, so they don't feel that pressure for another week. They're not truly enjoying it. They're not experiencing orgasm or other forms of pleasure. So what I often suggest to men as well is, it's like a lot of men, because they are in sexual starvation, they will accept scraps from their partner. They'll accept pity sex. But oftentimes what happens is pity sex for your wife re-traumatizes her body. It reminds her that sex isn't for her, that her pleasure isn't priority, that how she feels doesn't matter, that sex is painful or not enjoyable, and it's like reinforces all of the things you need to rewrite. And so if you stick around and keep watching some of my videos, I'm going to be sharing some experimental tools on experimental sex versus going into default sex. And one of the biggest things that my clients struggle with inside of my programs, I share these both inside my women's program and my couples program. I'll link to them both below. One of the challenges is that you're so sexually starved and that you want that pleasure and that connection time with her so bad that you're kind of willing to accept whatever. But when you accept whatever, when you accept her saying, yeah, okay, just like stick it in, just get it over with, or yeah, I'll just do it, that just reinforces what we're trying to get rid of. So you need to consider, when you are having sex with your partner, ensuring she is enjoying it and choosing to not move forward when she is not. Ensuring in the moment that she's enjoying it, that it's pleasurable for her. And if not, course correcting and doing something different, trying something new. Or backing up a few steps. You might have jumped to a 9 or 10 and she's still way back at 5. So I really want you to understand that when you have sex that isn't enjoyable for your partner, it reminds her of and just creates more resistance to do it again in the future. But if she had an experience that was pleasurable, that maybe it didn't just get to penetration, because here's what women often say about this, is that they feel that their partner is rushing to penetration. They feel like their partner is rushing to an orgasm, that they're trying to cross this finish line. And so that they miss it on this whole experience. And so some women, they feel like that's what they have to do. And that they could never just enjoy a love and rub and petting and lick and turn on without being penetrated. So prove her wrong. Show her that you might need to take care of yourself in terms of orgasm, if that's essential for you, for a little bit, for a few experiments. To let her know that it doesn't always have to end in penetration. It doesn't always have to end in your orgasm, especially if that's not a priority for her, if she just wants that sort of experience. Women are telling me they want experiences. I believe that when you can get you guys having more experiences that are enjoyable and a range of intimacy that always doesn't end up in penetration, it reminds her body that it's like, oh, I like being touched. Oh, I don't feel like I have to do anything, so then I want to do these things. Oh, I can just enjoy all this pleasure I can receive, and that reminds her that this is pleasurable. Also, it gives her the space to actually get turned on. And what I've noticed is that when women get turned on, they want to please you because it actually brings them enjoyment as well. And so if you want to be part of the solution, you need to be careful with what kind of sex you are accepting. Now, I would love to know which one of these was the most valuable or thought-provoking for you. Put it in the comments. And what I will post a link to is my coaching. I know it can be challenging to untangle this stuff on your own, and so I have private coaching sessions for couples as well as men and women individually that we can sort of hash out what the current issue is, and I can give you specific strategies on your situation. Your situation is unique, your past, your relationship, your needs are all unique, and I can give you specific things to work with your situation. And so I'll post those links and you can book a session today. Be sure to like this video, comment letting me know which one was most valuable, and subscribe. It really does help this work get out. And what I know to be absolutely true is that so many people are struggling in intimacy or settling in their relationships when it comes to intimacy and sex and their communication, and it's because we don't talk about this, and you being here helps get this word out. So thank you for looking for solutions. Thank you for not settling in your relationship and wanting more. I'll catch you in the next video. Make it a great day.